starting the recording, and awesome. So I wanted to thank you all for coming on today and talking, because what we found is that we organize these sort of panels very often for arthritis warriors or chronic illness people, and we talk about the way that we live from our perspective. We talk about our medication and all of these fun stuff. But we realized that in every video we give tips and we talk about our supporters and we sort of give something to you guys as well, but really we're not really even targeting you guys or hearing your perspective. So we wanted to host this panel today to hear how it is to experience the side of being a supporter for an arthritis warrior, and yeah, just hear your thoughts, answer the questions that we have prepared. And it's just a casual chit chat, so honestly there is no right or wrong answers here. It's just to have a chit chat and see it from your perspective, see it from just how you've been living. And yeah, so me and Ali are both arthritis warriors, and we'll sort of lead the session on today, and at the end there'll be a chance for you guys to ask us any questions. And of course, we'll answer it from our perspective, sort of taking on the warrior community with us with those answers, but at the same time answering it really from our own perspective. So yeah.
Yes, and so when we start, can you guys hear me? I hope it's not too loud.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's raining, like pouring here. And so when we do start, if you are not talking, please mute yourself so that we can all hear each other. And then Pauline.
Oh, you broke out a little bit there for me.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, I just was telling everybody to mute themselves if they're not talking. But do you want to start with the first question?
Yeah, right. So we'll answer the questions one by one, and there's no particular order. I mean, I see people on my screen. I don't know if the order is the same on your screen. So feel free, if you just want to talk, you can like unmute yourself and then we'll start off. And yeah, the first thing that would be so amazing to hear from you guys is to hear a little bit of an introduction to your relationship with the arthritis warrior that you're either living with or had experience with. Just things like what your relationship is with that person, how long you've been supporting them, and any other things that you want to share. Does anyone want to start? Okay, we've got Trim there.
So hi everybody, just introducing myself quickly. I'm Trim. I am Belgian, but I live in Germany. I'm Paulina's partner, and we've been living together for about 2.5 years almost, and we've been together for 3 years. So we got to live together pretty quickly after we met each other. Yeah, so what should I say now? What was it about?
How long, and
okay.
That's all. So
and that's all. So I did not know what arthritis was before. I mean, I knew what old people arthritis is, so the mechanical arthritis, but not the autoimmune before I met Paulina. So I learned a great deal by living with her.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone who wants to go next?
Sure, I'll go. Oh, no, sorry. You guys could, are you sure?
Go on.
You go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Alex Kubanek. My partner is Kia Peters. On Instagram, Live Well with Kia. Some of you guys may know her. We've been together, actually, we just celebrated on Friday our 4-year anniversary together. We've been living together for just over 2, and she's pretty well been diagnosed. It's actually just been over 2 years for her diagnosis with RA. So we've pretty well half of our relationship has been kind of supporting each other through that. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it.
Awesome.
Cool, so I'll go, I guess. So I met Chloe 11 months ago now, and she had JIA, which is juvenile idiopathic arthritis, so it's completely spontaneous. And she told me probably pretty early on. I think it might have even been the first time I met her that she told me, which was wild. So I had a lot of questions, obviously, because I hadn't really heard about it in babies, especially. Like I'd heard young people had it, but I didn't really. But yeah, we've been living together pretty much for the past 8 or so months, just because we actually lived down the road. Our uni houses were like literally across the road from each other, so I just ended up walking and staying with her, and we've been pretty much inseparable ever since. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So about 8 months I've sort of come to know her arthritis.
Yeah, I can go next. So I've known Joe for about 8 years, I think so. And I think like 6 years or 5 years ago, she started to have like some symptoms and didn't know, what was wrong with her. And she went to a lot of different doctors, to consult them, and they didn't really find anything. Like they thought nothing was wrong with her. Then, she moved away from Romania, she moved to the UK, and then she was diagnosed with arthritis, and I don't really have that much insight on the disease because obviously I don't live with her, but I know it's been a very tough time, especially being, very far away from her family and friends, but, well, yeah. That's pretty much it from me.
My turn? I'm Allie's mom, Bonnie, and so I've been with Allie through her entire life, and she was diagnosed at 15. And so, yeah, we're learning about idiopathic juvenile arthritis together. So our journey starts from day one until today. So anything that you guys can, help us with or give us ideas or suggestions, and I'd be more than happy to share everything that we've done together in our journey with this crazy disease.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. And it's nice that we have a little nice mixture of mom, partner, friend. It's nice to talk about it from like completely different perspectives. So yeah, awesome. The first question that I wanted to ask everyone is, when you first found out that either your partner, your friend, or your daughter was diagnosed, the initial stages, how prepared did you feel when they were diagnosed for this whole condition and living, and in general, how prepared did you feel? Anyone who wants to go first?
Well, I'll go. Well, since Paulina hasn't been diagnosed while we were together, but earlier on, I cannot really speak on the fact that we have lived this diagnosis together. However, ever since we met in the beginning, in the first 3-4 months, she mentioned she has also arthritis, and she would mention like she has pain here and there. But as somebody that comes from the outside and has never experienced chronic pain or lived with somebody with chronic pain, it's quite hard to actually grasp what that means. I actually am familiar with autoimmune diseases since I have close family with type 1 diabetes. It's kind of not similar, but they live with something that is invisible to other people. So it's kind of similar too, in some sort of ways. But I wasn't really prepared to what Paulina has, so the inflammatory arthritis, so juvenile inflammatory arthritis. And I wasn't prepared to that. I researched when she told me that, but it's kind of different to see things on the internet, and it's kind of different to see things in real life. So I would say I wasn't prepared when it comes to these things. So you have to see it for yourself to actually really believe it as an external point of view. I mean, you would see it, and plus she tends to be kind of strong-minded, and sometimes she hides a bit, or she just reduce the amount of pain that she's feeling, or she's not telling the truth. She's just say, it hurts a bit, but you would see that it's hard to raise her hand, so you actually understand that, okay, that's not just a little bit of pain, that's a lot of pain. But she's trying to be tough, and she manages. She does it like a champ. But you start to understand with time that it's more than just a little bit of pain. So yeah, you're never really prepared. At least I wasn't prepared at all to this.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Now, next person, next brave person.
I'll go. In regards to being prepared, I don't, other than like just Googling and stuff like that, I don't think I could say I was truly prepared. I guess other than just understanding what it is, how it affects you. But again, like what you read online is very different, and it's different for every person that's going through it, right? So at the time, while Kia was in her flare up and prior to diagnosis, it was tough because she's definitely an A-type personality. So she's always has to work. And so there was coming a point in her master's where she's wanting to transition into her PhD. That's what she wanted to pursue in life. And so from there, it was a matter of, okay, like we see something's happening. Like we see like a transgression of the symptoms getting worse, and then as well as her personality was changing. And so from there, it was still fairly early in our relationship, but it kind of caught us off guard because like we had just kind of gotten through the hurdle of a significant member in the family dying. And so we got through that and we thought, okay, like we have some time to I can help Kia and her family get through these times. And then from there, it just got worse. Like the symptoms came on really strong. And then no one really ever talks about how it affects people mentally. Like there's always the physical challenge, but there's so much of the mental aspect that is affected too. And it started to change her personality. And she got really short-tempered. She actually had a really bad relationship with food prior to her diagnosis, and even afterwards, until she started to really understand how food could heal her. But so leading up to that point, it was seeing like, I remember Kia was working at her desk and she was been working for a couple hours straight without a break. And I looked at her feet and they were deep purple, and it just caught me off guard. I was so scared. My heart sunk, or my stomach sunk, and just heart skipped a beat. And I'm like, there's something wrong. Like this isn't normal. Obviously, because I could see her personality changing, other symptoms coming on, and then just seeing the feet, the actual physical symptom that I can see rather than just the internal symptoms that she's dealing with, or invisible symptoms that aren't prevalent to the outside world. So I was like, you need to go to the doctors. And she was like, nope, it's okay. Like it happens. It's not that big of a deal. And I'm like, your feet are purple. It is a big deal. Your feet shouldn't be like this. This is like something that someone goes through when they have hypothermia. And it was kind of like, whoa, like, okay. And then so the next day, the symptoms came up again. Her hands and her feet got purple. And she was actually in her lab. So the first time I had noticed it was on the weekend. And so the next day she was gone back into work, and her coworkers were like, Kia, you need to go see a doctor. So there was many people telling her, yes, like you need to go do this. And so she finally gave in. And I say gave in because she was being very stubborn and she just thought it would go away. Obviously, like most people would, until the severity of it gets worse. And then other people start noticing things, right? So from there, it was Googling of all these symptoms, and like obviously WebMD is not a great source for these things. Google doctors aren't great for figuring out symptoms. But when we finally got down to it, I may be off by the date 1 or 2 days, but I believe it was June 21st. She was diagnosed 2018. And so on that day, like she texted me at work and she's like, I have rheumatoid arthritis. And just from Googling, like we thought it was lupus, we thought it was any other connective tissue disease as well as with arthritis. And she said, I have rheumatoid arthritis. And my heart just, it skipped a beat again, because from everything that I Googled, it was worst case scenarios. It was people with the deformations of their hands and their feet. But understanding now in hindsight, like a lot of people that were diagnosed even 20, 30 years ago, they were misdiagnosed for so many years that their symptoms and the severity of the rheumatoid arthritis had gotten worse. That's why their hands started to deform and stuff like that. Obviously, when you can catch it early and manage it properly throughout their life and provide that longevity of management, those symptoms, they do come, but at a lesser rate or lesser severity. But other than that, I don't think you could really be prepared until you're told, until you're actually going through it. And then it's taking day by day, and kind of just because you can't plan for the future. You don't know what tomorrow is going to be for them. The weather changes, anything else changes, their stress level changes. That just puts their body into a whole new cycle of a flare up, and it's different from day to day. So other than just knowing I had to be there, I had to be the supportive person and just be the strong one. It isn't always easy, especially over a length of time, because you really have to be selfless. And at the same time, it is tough because early in a relationship, you're like, oh, I still want to do the same things I want to do. You still want to spend a lot of time with them, but like you still want to have that independence, and you still want to be able to provide that independence to them. And that was probably one of the hardest things, just maintaining that and being like, you can do this, but I have your back. And you don't want them to think like you're always going to overstep and just take care of everything for them. They still want to be able to maintain their certain level of lifestyle and independence. But it's at a distance where you have to be like ready to step in and just be there for at any time. Like Kia, when I had to help brush her hair, brush her teeth, get her dressed, and all of these things, make her lunch. Our daily routine changed so that I would drive her to school prior to going to work. I started before she started, but then now it's like, okay, she has to go and work early because it's better than going in onto the public transit and then from there in the cold and stuff like that. So it's making those sacrifices, right? But it doesn't really feel like a sacrifice. It just feels like it's the right thing to do. And just knowing that, like, we relied a lot on her parents and her family. I was talking to her mom like on a daily basis because her mom understands her on a level that I don't. She's her mother, right? So it was like, okay, like Kia's experiencing this is what she's doing. And she would be like, okay, like it's fine. It's not a big deal. She's probably just stressed or whatever, what have you. And it just kind of, it actually provided me a lot of comfort having that person to rely on and ask these questions that has a deeper understanding of Kia, because we were so juvenile in our relationship. It was so early on. And like, yes, we knew each other, but this was a new thing that we were experiencing. And it put a lot of stress on our relationship. And that's also something that a lot of people I believe that don't talk about, is that external stress that it puts it on. And it wasn't always easy, but it's always worth it. And it honestly, I believe that this happened for a reason, and we're becoming the people that we're supposed to be through this. And I see it. She helps people on a daily basis, and it's amazing. So I'll let other people share their story as well.
That's really awesome. No, thank you so much for going into detail. That's really cool. It's really great to hear it from you guys. So don't be shy. It's awesome to hear all of it.
Cool. So I guess I'll go now. So yeah, it's never easy to prepare. I don't think I was remotely prepared for what I was about to dig myself into, so to speak. But I think it helped with Chloe because she knew what she had and she dealt with it for so many years. She was diagnosed when she was 18 months old. So she'd lived with it for 19 years, 20 years of her life already prior to me meeting her, which helped a lot in some regards because she knew what she could handle. But I heard about arthritis. Arthritis is like a debilitating disease. I have family members with arthritis. My stepmom has arthritis, quite fairly young. She's only mid-40s, and her dad has arthritis because he's in his 70s, nearly 80s now. So I'd had experience with arthritis, but I never truly understood what it was. And I think in younger people, it's just so debilitating to see as a partner as well. See your partner just completely incapacitated. Some days I'd have to get up and she couldn't get up. So I'd have to make the tea. I'd have to make coffee. I'd have like simple things, but I'm quite a lazy person myself. So I don't really enjoy doing it, but I know for the greater good that that's what I have to do because I care for this person. And I think that's the hardest thing to prepare for. Going from independence to literally, they're not dependent on you, but to an extent they are. She can do things herself, and she's stubborn as anything. She will insist that she lifts things, and I'm like, no, stop it. You can't, you literally cannot do this. You will flare up tomorrow and you will hate yourself. So, you know, we recently moved, and I was helping her move out of her uni house, and she was picking up boxes. I was like, put it down, I'll take it. And she refused to do it. And then she flared up the next day, and I literally went to her, like, I told you so. So it's really difficult to adapt, I think, and to understand that stubbornness plays into it a lot. They're fiercely independent people with chronic illnesses, and I respect that. But I think one of the main things that they need to do is sometimes is to listen to the people around them as well, and go like, come on, you can't do everything on your own. You've got to accept the help when you can. I don't know if that's a similar experience with you guys, but definitely is with Chloe. She's fiercely independent. She's amazing. She wants to, because like she's doing a master's degree next year. She wants to go on to do a PhD. She's got a first class degree, which she graduated from this year at the university that I'm studying in as well. That's how we met. So yeah, it's been really tough, but I've learned a lot, and I know now, especially a few months down the line, exactly how to deal with her flare-ups. I just need to, you know, swallow the bullet, do as much as I can, support her, hot water bottles, small things, small gestures, and that's the most important thing to try and support her, I think. So I've learnt a lot since, but I definitely wasn't prepared for when she told me. I thought, oh, it'd just be like a little bit extra work. No, it's not. It's quite a bit extra work, but for me, it's worth it because she's amazing, and she seizes the day when she can, and it's an absolutely amazing positive attitude that she has, and I couldn't ask for anything more, basically. So wouldn't give it up for the world, but definitely wasn't prepared.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm gonna go on now. So the story, as I said, like Joe started to have symptoms. Like she started to tell me about some weird pains, let's say, that she could not explain. And she told her mom. Actually, her mom or her family kind of did not take her seriously because they couldn't understand like the severity of the pain, let's say. And they took her to a lot of different doctors that just they just couldn't diagnose her. They thought like everything was fine, that maybe like she was exaggerating a bit with the pain. And I think like from a point forward, she just stopped telling at least me or her friends that like something was going on, that like she had these weird pains. I mean, they weren't that bad comparing to what she's telling me right now. So I think it was like an early stage. Like she could still obviously move. It wasn't like affecting her daily life to the point where she couldn't do certain things. It was just like something that would be quite annoying or uncomfortable or something like that. But then she moved, as I said, she moved to the UK to pursue her studies. And then she found out where she went again to a lot of different doctors until she was diagnosed. And that's kind of like a weird thing to say, but she was happy that she was diagnosed. Like finally someone believes her, and like it's a real thing. Like she can get some medication even though like there's no treatment for it, but something can help her. But obviously it was a sad point because she found out that like this is not going to go away. So then I know that it affected her mostly during university because she couldn't keep up with all of the deadlines that she had, because obviously she couldn't, like there were days like it got a little bit worse over time, and there were days where like she couldn't just say write an essay or go to university or concentrate. So she had to explain to the teachers, to each one of them, like, you know, I have this disease, like I can show proof that, you know. And I think like from my perspective, she didn't tell me this exactly, but maybe she felt a little bit shy to tell people because, you know, maybe not everybody understands, or I mean, if it's not something that you can see physically, you might feel like that person, well, maybe she's lying or something to extend the deadline. But I'm very glad that the teachers were very respectful of that, and they helped her extending her deadlines and, you know, just understanding. And when I went to visit her in the UK twice, and I got to like see how, you know, what she's dealing with, like everything she was telling me. But as you all guys said, it's like different when you're living with a person, rather than, you know, just being told stuff. And I saw like the medication that she took, like it was kind of like an injection that was once a week, and I heard it was extremely painful, and the next day would hurt her leg a lot where she would have to inject it. So yeah, that's quite painful. So yeah, well, I think that's about it. So yeah, I guess I was not prepared for this diagnosis, but like, you know, no matter the disease, nobody's ever prepared for this, but I'm glad that like somebody was able to diagnose her and to give her proper help.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing it.
With Allie, I don't know if many of you know, it was like a bittersweet diagnosis because they thought she had a meniscal tear because she had been playing water polo. And so we were thinking, oh, okay, that's an easy fix. And then it wasn't, she was in the States, we were living in Saudi at the time. So then she came home from boarding school and her knee was still huge. So we took her to the doctor in Saudi and they did an MRI and they found a mass behind her kneecap. So the first thing you think of a mass, they said it's a tumor. So of course you've got all those emotions. Oh my gosh, now it's a tumor. And so she had surgery, and for us, she was diagnosed within a couple of months of her first flare-up. So I think it was easier. We knew basically from a couple months. We didn't, even though she's been to hundreds of doctors and different tests and everything, we knew from the get-go exactly what her problem was. So when they went in and she was 15 and she comes out and we get see the surgeon and the pathologist, and they're like, well, she has RA. And she's got the joint of a 60-year-old. Well, she's 15. And so, yeah, as a mom, you know, how did we react? Our emotions were crazy. And again, we're living in Saudi Arabia. So you think, oh, you know, you're from the US, they have all the great doctors. Here, they misdiagnosed her. So I thank the surgeon every day that pushed forward, you know, for us in Saudi who did the testing. So how did we react? I mean, I did like everybody else. I Googled everything. I checked everything. And again, it is the worst case scenario, as you all said. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is the end of the world. But it isn't the end of the world. And when you say the personality changes, yeah, I mean, Allie was 15, so I have run the gamut of being miserable and you know, you don't accept it and you're in denial, and then it's so sad, like you all have said, that people don't see that disease, and so they don't believe you. And again, you've all said it, because I'll read all the blogs and things, because Ali, you know, keeps me posted. Hot yoga, do this, do that, take this herb, take that herb, and you just want to scream at them and say, you know, that's not going to work. So were we prepared? No. Am I prepared? No. Every day that when something else happens, and as a parent, you don't want your child to hurt. So no, I don't think anyone is ever prepared for any type of terrible disease, no matter what it is. So I can't imagine being diagnosed at 18 months. I don't know. I mean, you deal with it every day. And I feel bad for everyone out there whose family doesn't embrace them and help them. So yeah, that's about it.
Oh, thank you. So my question for all of you was, what was the hardest for you when you were witnessing or helping or experiencing either your significant other, your friend, or your family member when they were going through what we go through, whether it was with their diagnosis or if they've already been diagnosed and they were just having a rough time, or maybe they were just starting a medication. So what was the hardest for you? Not for them, but what was the hardest for you? Like, what were you feeling during that time?
Okay.
Yeah. So, as I said quickly previously, prior moving in together, we were only together for 3 months. And then she moved in with me. And the month after that, it was December, I think, she started experiencing a very bad flare-up. That's how I realized, and when I realized what arthritis is. Because she couldn't really open a bottle of water or even close it. She couldn't raise her hands to tie her hair. She couldn't do a lot of things. And myself, I was feeling kind of useless, because you just see that you don't know anything about arthritis. You start Googling a bit before during those 3 months, but you don't see that flare up. And then all of a sudden that happens. And then you just see that that person is suffering, she's having pain, and you cannot help, because whatever you can say you do, it's not going to help the pain go away fully. And how I experienced it is that I felt bad for not being able to help her how I wanted to help her. However, I tried everything I could. I improvised myself a personal assistant. So doctor appointments, I actually printed out all her medical history before she had. I told her to give me all her medical history. I read about everything she had before, because before arthritis, she also had some involvement into a heart condition. And when she had a flare up, I was like with my machine trying to check her pulse, trying to check her blood pressure. And then she has an elevated pulse, like more than average. And I know that because I also had heart inflammation before. So I used to check a bit and understand a bit how it goes. And then I was like, now she has a flare up. Her heart rate is increasing. She doesn't feel good. Now it can be anything. She can experience a heart attack or something like that. So that I was freaking out, literally. So my first intuition is, okay, now let's treat things little by little. Doctor appointments. I go to the doctor with her. She's explaining to me what she feels. I translate, because she had to move to a different country too, and finding out English doctors and stuff like that on such a short notice was a bit hard. So literally personal assistant. I try to be there for her at all times. I try to ease with every single thing. I try to anticipate her needs so that I could actually help her do things. If I saw that she wanted to drink something, then I'd go take the bottle of water, open the bottle of water, leave it there. She could pour it for herself. Or I don't know, I will try. She likes to wear leggings. Bad idea during flare-ups. So I had to help her like really pull the leggings, and something I never experienced before either. Yeah, so I was kind of feeling at least useful in that sense, that I could help her do these things, but I was feeling helpless in terms of I cannot do anything to ease the pain itself that she's already experiencing. I can just prevent her from experiencing even more by doing those extra steps. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy for her, you could see it, but it's not also easy for us, especially when you care about somebody, especially when it's also that early in a relationship and you don't know where this is going to lead, if this is going to last longer. I had no idea what a flare-up was. I was just like, be there for her and do whatever you think it's necessary to help her. So I could only be there, help her, caress her, giving her gentle touches. It helped apparently. So, but yeah, I couldn't do more than I was trying to, because we cannot. We can just help. We can just give our all, and that's all we can do. So yeah.
Yeah, very true. I do like to wear leggings, and that is not a good idea.
So I guess we'll just kind of follow the order that we've been going in here, which obviously makes sense. I guess the hardest thing for me was, like everybody else said, it's just constantly being there. But I think especially from the position that we were in, we were so young in our relationship. So there's still lots of things that we wanted to do as a couple. But then it's maintaining that relationship of we are two people coming together, and not letting it get to a position of a sick person and a caregiver, right? Because then you don't, that drastically changes it. And there's days, there's weeks that it wasn't romantic. It was hard. And I think that's something that no one ever prepares you for. And that was the biggest thing of like, oh, I wanted affection. And she's like, get away from me. I'm in pain. And I'm like, but my needs. And she's like, no, but I'm in pain. And I'm like, yeah, but I still need my needs taken care of too. Right. So I think that was the hardest thing. And it was having to be gentle and having to just, when they're ready to give me a hug, give me a kiss, do whatever, to still, it's okay. When you're ready, I'll be here, right? And it's always knowing that just I'll be there. And I always wanted to step in. I always want to be like, no, put it down. Just, you don't need to open that jar. You don't need to do this. Just sit and I will do it for you. But it's like, no, they still want independence. They still want to be able to do those things and not have to feel babied or taken care of all the time. And so it was just hard to see them struggle, but then have to be at a distance to be there when they ask for help, not just inject your help or just intrude with it. And so I think that actually allowed me to understand her on a deeper level, because it really showed me like where it is I can be of service and where I'm better suited to help her. And so it was just doing the little things like everybody else had said. It's just, making sure that if they wanted some water, it's there ready for them. All they have to do is put the water and drink it, and all of that stuff. But when it came to the medication, it was hard because Kia, when she came home and I got home, so she was home before I was, the day she was diagnosed, and we had the yellow bin, the Sharps disposal bin, and that just kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting, not something. And then she had to start with the methotrexate, and it was just cyclic in a way of, she would inject herself and then feel down and just really immobilized for 2 days, and then it's a couple days of feeling better, getting progressively better, and then really, really good. But then they start to, okay, so I feel good. I can do everything that I want. I can go all day without a break. And then it's that crash. And then it's that cycle. Okay, so now I have to take my medication again because it's Monday morning or Sunday night. And it was that, and the ever evolving cycle of the ups and downs was really a roller coaster. And I'm not a big fan of roller coasters. Personally, I am not afraid of heights. So it was tough. Honestly, it was probably one of the toughest things that we could have experienced together. But in hindsight, looking back, I don't think that I could have gotten through it without her, and vice versa. Because it really allowed me to just on a deeper level for myself, figure out how it is that I can be better and be more helpful and more selfless. Because I was young in my 20s, and I'm just like, I want to do what I want to do. I want to go hang out with my friends. And she's like, yeah, but I can't. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Let's just stay in. Let's just have a movie night. Let's just order in or do whatever. And let's just focus on us. And honestly, it was great. And I think it's really allowed our relationship to develop into a deeper level. We are pretty well on the same frequency, I would say, especially this week. Like, she's been reading my mind like crazy. And it's kind of bittersweet to say, but I couldn't have asked for it to transpire, like our lives to transpire in a different way. Because I truly believe that this diagnosis has really put us both on a path that we're supposed to be on. It allowed me to realize that I want more freedom of time so that I can be there, because we're getting to a point that we want to start having a family soon, and there's always going to be complications with that, right? So it was explaining to my workplace that, hey, like, I'm going to need some time off every now and then because I need to help. I need to be there for her. And our lives are much more important than my daily work some days. And because my job may go, but she's always going to be there. And to me, that's more important. And it's hard to get other people that are on the outside to understand that too. And it's like, hey, I'm going to be late this morning because my girlfriend's in a flare-up and our morning is a lot slower than it needs to be. And I really need you guys to be supportive, and I need you guys to understand. And some places aren't like that. Thankfully they were, and they allowed me, like, they were very accommodating, which is a huge gift. But independence, really, it comes down to just maintaining the independence of myself and of anybody who's going through the diagnosis, and just having that step back, but being ready. It's just always being ready to be there for them.
Cool. So I'm going to preface this. I apologize if you hear snoring in the background because Chloe's dog has decided to plonk herself right next to me. I think the toughest thing, as a lot of the other people, is dealing with the flare-ups, because you don't, as a functioning fit person, you don't understand what exactly they are. I didn't really know how to deal with it the first time. I think the first time I dealt with it was probably a few weeks after we met and I was round, and I had stayed over at Chloe's house at university, and I didn't know what anything was, bear in mind. So I had to do everything without knowing what everything was. So I was like asking her housemates, I was like, where's this? Where's that? Because I need everything, and I felt a bit useless, as others have said as well. Like, you feel a bit helpless, but I think that's the hardest thing, is to try and get through the sense of helplessness and actually try and make yourself useful. Because Chloe's had a rough time with medication. She was originally, when I met her, on 12.5 milligrams of methotrexate injections every week. And then she'd take adalimumab for her uveitis every 2 weeks. And that was too high. So every time she took the medication, methotrexate, the 12.5, it would make her feel ill the next day, and she couldn't go to university because she felt ill. Not like in pain, but just nauseated and feel like she was going to vomit at any point. So she had that, and then she got it. She stopped taking it because she's like, I'd rather deal with the pain, which is a complete baffling thing to me. I'm like, so you have to pick between feeling sick or being in pain. And I think that's devil's advocate, really, isn't it? It's two bad choices and the lesser of two evils, which is really tough to try and deal with, because like, you deal with someone who's feeling ill or you deal with someone who's in pain. So she stopped taking them, and then she didn't take it for 3-ish months, I think it was, that she stopped taking it, from December until February. And then she got it adjusted to 7.5 milligrams of methotrexate, which is better for the sickness, but also it doesn't deal with the pain. So she's now constantly somewhat in pain, which is difficult to deal with, because you're like, you don't really know what you can do, because all you can offer is logical explanations. Like, I'm not a doctor at the end of the day, and she's always asking me like, what can I do? And I know a little bit. I'm like, you have to go to your doctor. The doctors know best. You need to go and you need to ring them up. And you need to tell them you need to change because it's not working anymore. Which thankfully she is doing at some point, because she's moving. So once she's down in London, hopefully the medical care there will be more accessible, because the way the UK works is complicated, but basically London, a lot more funding, a lot more research, probably more likely to get more drugs that might be different. So that's something that you sort of have to push for, I think, and that's hard. You have to push them, well, especially with Chloe's, like, you can't just sit there and sort of take it, and she has that tendency to do that. You've just got to be persistent and ring up, say, look, I'm in pain, I can't do this anymore, and you need to tell them that. And that's the best I can do in terms of advice, which is really hard. Because, yeah, as I say, I'm not a doctor, and I do an engineering degree, so I've got absolutely no clue. So that was the hardest thing, I think. Other times we've been on holiday and stuff, and obviously you want to see the sights and you want to do things. We went to Budapest in December. I'd been already, so I'd seen the majority of the things, but Chloe wanted to see a lot of the things as well. But it's quite spaced out, so you either have to walk quite far or you have to take the metro across the city. Neither of which is ideal, but the metro is pretty good, but not ideal. Like, I could have walked it basically. You know, it's like half an hour walk to me is like, it's half an hour. I could do that for a day. I'd be tired at the end of it, but I'd be fine the next day. Whereas Chloe found it very hard, like all of the things.
We lost audio. Can you guys hear him?
Input.
You guys hear me?
We can hear you, and could you not hear Harry talking? Oh, okay. Don't worry. Continue. I'll type a message to her.
Okay. Anyway, so there's this hill in Budapest, it's Gelet Hill, and it's massively steep, and I climbed it when I first went in 36-degree heat, so I thought, it's winter, it'll be cold enough, I can do it. But Chloe got to the top and she was absolutely shattered. Like, she had to sit down for 10 minutes. And I was like, you don't really understand those things, and I think that's another hard thing. Like, just because you can do it, it's coming to terms with, just because you can do it doesn't mean that that person can also do it. And sometimes you've got to make sacrifices for the sake of their health, basically. Just because you can do it doesn't mean that someone that you're with can do it. And because that was early on in the relationship, I made that mistake. And whilst it wasn't terrible at the time, it could have been a lot worse, and it could have been like a multi-day flare-up that could have ruined the rest of our trip, just because, for the sake of walking for a bit, you know what I mean? And that's something that you need to come to terms with. So it's all difficult, but as I said before, wouldn't change it. It's made me have a new perspective on life. It's made me realize how lucky I am as a person to be fit and healthy, and I am honored to do as much as I can, and honoured for her to be grateful for everything that I do for her. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, so I feel like the hardest thing for me was, and I feel like it still is, to understand like how it impacts her life and how much, what's the severity of this, because not being able to see her every day, we're just like texting. I don't have like the same perspective as you guys maybe have. And so I think it's different for me. And I was very happy when she was diagnosed because I thought she was going to get help. And even though I heard it was autoimmune, like she was not going to get rid of this, I thought like with pills or something, it's going to be like she's fine. And later on I found out like that's not exactly the situation. Like it's worse than that. And obviously I'm not able to put myself in her shoes and just feel the pain to better understand. So one of the first signs that I actually was aware of the severity was she was wearing this very heavy bracelet that had some beads on it, and it was it was really heavy, and that thing like meant a lot to her. And then I don't know, I think I just saw a picture with her where I just video chatted and asked her, why aren't you wearing your bracelet, because she had been wearing that for 4 years. She would not take it down, and then she told me like it's too heavy, she can't wear anything on her wrist right now because it can affect her a lot and she can't move her wrist anymore. And that was a point where I think I realized it's bad. Like, I think it's worse than I thought. And then one of the first times that we went together on a trip to Brussels, and we had this Airbnb with we went with more people, with 2 bedrooms, and one of the bedrooms had like a bed that you had to walk on a really, really tight staircase, almost like an attic style, and one of the beds was like on the ground. So initially she was supposed to sleep with me, but we just decided that it's very complicated to walk on a very near ladder to climb, so we just switched beds for her so it could be easier. And like Harry said, it's different on vacations. Like, well, we had to be really understanding, like take more breaks, walk slower for her, um, so she could be able to keep the pace with us, like while also enjoying all the sights that we were supposed to see. And another example of going on a trip was we had to take a bus to Manchester, and we were supposed to be sitting 1 hour on a bus. And when we arrived, she was sitting on the um, seat next to the door, but then she couldn't move her leg because it was numb. And I know that she like physically had to raise that leg with her hands and just like get it out of the seat to walk out. And I thought like she has been suffered all of this way, like all the whole hour through the journey, and she didn't tell us anything. And when I see this kind of situations, although it's very rare because we don't get to see each other a lot, I feel like she is suffering a lot and she's not telling anyone. And I feel very bad for her also because I'm not very physically able to help. But yeah, this is why I said like the most difficult part is not being able to understand every moment what she's going through.
Sorry, I'm so slow. I think what was the hardest thing for me was Ali was a swimmer. Because again, living in Saudi, that was the one sport that a girl could do year round and not have any problems with the situation that's there. And when she was diagnosed, it basically ruined her swimming career. And so she was in high school, and because she was 15, and she did swim. She finished swimming through her high school, but it wasn't like it was. So for me, she lost a passion that she had, and we used to love to watch her swim. And also, like you all said, watching your child, or the transition of when she went on the medication, on the methotrexate, the terrible side effects. She had this beautiful, wavy, long hair, and then it became like mine is, more straight and stringy. She lost a lot of weight, and that bothered us. The nausea. She was working as a production assistant in Tampa, and she wasn't able to work because the flare-ups in her knee. So I think for me, the hardest thing was seeing that there were things that she was unable to do, and pursue the passions that she had. And even I remember her one doctor saying, when you take the methotrexate, you can't drink alcohol. Well, that's not the end of the world. We don't have to drink. But as he said to her, but you're young. He said, so, you have to live life. So if you want to drink on occasion, have a drink, but just realize what the side effects might have for you. So again, I think as a mom, it was just watching her not be able to do some of the wonderful things that as a young person you want your child to do. But you all said the same thing, so it's the same for me as well.
Okay. It's awesome to hear that all of you guys mentioning this. And we just have a new question that we thought of, that we didn't write to you, so I hope that's okay, because you didn't have time to prepare, because you sort of answered the internet question that we had prepared, and you've all mentioned how incredibly sort of not really helpful Google Ankle is with these things. So we wanted to ask you about a different sort of topic to do with medication, because it was briefly mentioned already. When you found out what medication that person was on or going to be on, were you on board with the fact that they had to take the medication, which is obviously somewhat harmful and not really super beautiful medication? Did you have any arguments about it, any disagreements about the fact of like medication or no medication? Did you have any different views about it, and just your whole experience of going through a medical route versus a natural path of maybe nutrition and other things. So yeah, it would be awesome to hear your thoughts on this.
All right,
You want to go
Let's
first?
go.
Sorry, you're always on the spot because
Yeah, well,
we're on the same video here.
I started, so let's go this. So well, when it comes to medication, when I first heard about methotrexate, obviously I Googled it like everybody did. Drug, so cancer drug, bad side effect, could cause cancer. So cancer drug that could cause cancer. Yeah, so obviously not the best thing, right? However, having talked about this drug with Paulina and having seen the flare-ups, we kind of have to balance what's positive and what's negative in it. And what I saw is that without the methotrexate, she was temporary during that big flare-up. She was because that time when we met, she wasn't taking methotrexate. She was in remission, so she was fine. But then the flare-up came in, and she needed a quick solution to actually start to be able to move by herself and have less pain. And so she was set on prednisolone, so steroids, which acts fast but have also side effect. You sweat, according to her, you stink. Haven't really noticed that too much though, but however, yeah. But still, it's steroids, so prone to water retention, a bit of mood change, and sweat, and heat rashes, and like, anyway, all the side effects. Having seen that, when she was on these steroids, I have noticed that it actually started to react quite quickly. So, yes, the side effects are there, but on the other hand, she can move, she can stand, she can walk, and she can do her things, even though they are like she's sweating a bit more. Or so the side effects were not too bad comparing to the freedom she regained by taking those pills. Now, after that, obviously the steroids were a short solution, like a quick fix. She had to take methotrexate. She started also in 12.5 or something like that, right?
20,
No, 10.
25.
25 milligrams, yeah? So she had quite a high dosage very early. I did not understand about the dosage in the beginning. So I was like, okay, that's 20 milligrams. That's not, that, that's not a lot. And but then I started to read, and it's quite a high dose. And then you can see, yes, it will help, but it can cause cancer. It can cause this. It can cause that. And at the end of the day, we're like, well, it takes 6 months to actually start really working. Then if you're out of it, then it will take 6 months until it gets out of your system completely. Then in between, things can happen. And then, so you're like, okay, so are you going to have to be all the time on this or not? Or how do you notice? So I had to start to learn about this, Google it. I talked to her about it because she had that too before, the same medication more or less. And during the time that she was with me here, she had been taking methotrexate once a week. She experienced this bad side effect that you all mentioned: headaches, nausea, brain fog, and all these little symptoms that start to accumulate little by little, and then that's a lot. That's not a thing you would wish for somebody to have to take. But on the other hand, I'm grateful kind of that she had the opportunity to be able to have this medicine, because if she didn't have that, she would have, I always imagine, what if she was in a flare-up like she was that December for 6 months? That's just not sustainable. Mentally, that would be destroying her even more than the side effect. That's what I think, because that would have been, I would have felt also bad to not be able to move, etc. So it's a bad drug, that's true. It has a lot of bad side effects. But on the other hand, she can go to dance when she can feel it. Of course, being careful, not every day or not. She can walk, she can have a long walk with me. She will feel a bit of pain and things, but nothing comparing to without the drug. So I think there's a balance in between side effects and positive effect that this medication can bring. But altogether, I do think, and I also told her, I don't believe that only natural medications and pill is going to help her go out of it. I don't believe that just plant-based medication is going to help her with arthritis, but a combination of everything together will help, at least, if not like remove all the side effects from the methotrexate, at least actually help the body recuperate a bit faster, because she's actually also helping herself with alternative medication, just like plant-based or curcuma or all this kind of different things altogether. So the medication is bad, but you have to think it to see the big picture. That's what I believe. It helps. It's here. It helps. It's, thank God we have a good security system here, social system, that allows her to not pay anything for that. And it's kind of a lifesaver, even though it may also not be a lifesaver. So that's a hard discussion, but all in all, it's like I see it a bit more positive than negative, because she is able to do whatever she wants to do, even though the side effects are there. Something that she may have not been able to do if she wasn't taking methotrexate. So that's my opinion about the drug.
Yeah, and that's super helpful to hear, and I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit more now. I'm going to get the words for it afterwards, but I'm currently going through, and this also will relate to any of you if maybe you've experienced this with your arthritis warrior that you're in contact with. I'm currently going through a change in medication, change/addition of medication. So it would be quite interesting, I think, for everyone to hear what was your initial thoughts or a reaction when you found out that I'm going to have to be on extra medication.
So I just heard the word, what is biologics?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, what is biologics? Body, system, whatever. So no, apparently she's going to be in a drug that is supposed to be stronger than methotrexate, which she would have to take together with methotrexate for a certain period of time. On top of that, right now, also with steroids. So she will be on 3 sets of drugs that have massive side effects altogether. So that, yeah, that's bad. So that's the thing that I think, when I heard that, I was kind of skeptical. So how long are you going to have to take the 3 of them together? So maybe we can already remove one. Sometimes, I don't know you guys, if you have experienced that, sometimes you kind of, after having known a bit of drugs and stuff like that, you kind of try to improvise yourself a doctor. You're like, yeah, but if this drug is stronger than methotrexate, let's get ready. Let's get rid of methotrexate right away and just start this, so that we but it's not like that. That's not how it works. We cannot improvise ourselves doctors, even though we try to help. It's not really helpful. Sometimes she gives me the evil eye, but it's just how it is. So the drugs themselves altogether, the biologics, right now, I heard it's stronger, but I heard that it can massively improve the way she's experiencing things on a daily basis, the way she can actually, because she's been living on this like saving energy basis, like the spoons, I have these spoons and that, so she knows how to actually kind of temper the way she's going to live on a daily basis, the energy she needs to use for every single action. But once she gets in this drug, I am actually positive about that. I think it's going to help her expand her energy and be able to do a bit more things. The only sad part is that she needs to be on the 3 of them for a certain period of time, but afterwards, and what we've heard so far is more positive than negative. So apparently she will experience less side effect than the methotrexate while having more benefits, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And on top of that, apparently for later on, who wants to build a family, it won't be that dangerous for the baby if she is on biologics, for example. So all in all, I think it's positive. So I'm not trying to see like the bad thing everywhere. I try to see things like 50-50 in more a rational way than an emotional way. And during this period of time in which she has to take, or she will have to take those 3 medication, of course, I will be there next to her, probably annoying her and telling her to try to do less things, wait, don't exhaust your body, try to be a bit more calm. I know you want to do 1,000 things, because now she's also a yoga teacher, so she's 24/7 busy. So I don't think, sometimes I'm like, does she realize what she has? I mean, does she realize that tomorrow she's going to be dead? But like, she's just not going to be able to move anymore. But she does realize that, but she's just like, keep on going and going and going. So just during those 3 months, I'm probably going to be annoying her a bit more. But afterwards, and I told her already, I think this is going to be positive, because simply, we don't know about it. So let's not assume it's bad directly. And we've heard good things about people that are already taking those biologics. So let's see. That's my reaction.
Yeah, awesome. And I must say, I love that you guys are using our lingo. It makes me so happy. Right, Ali? It's like, yes, spoonies. Yes, hangover. Yes.
Yeah, just like the hangover thing, right? That's exactly what it is. It's like you have the ups of your everyday life. So like, you're going out drinking with your friends, the next day you know it's not going to be as great. And it's the same thing with the medication. It's like, yeah, enjoy it now, because the next day it's not going to be great. And actually, it's kind of funny because over this weekend we were home with family, celebrating family and stuff, and just catching up throughout the summer, because all the COVID stuff and restrictions, we weren't able to do it as much. But I said to Kia, and I said, because yesterday she's like, oh, I want to take a nap. We had gone out fishing in the morning. And she's like, I want to take a nap so that I can enjoy and stay up a little bit later and enjoy being around with our family. And I said, okay, that's great. Like, awesome. You want to take a nap? Let's take a nap. But I said, I have to ask you, why is it that you feel inclined to have to take a nap to relax? Because we're not working. We're relaxing. We're hanging out with family. We know that she really doesn't have to do much in regards to like helping clean up or do dishes or any of that. It's taking care of her. So she just has to sit, enjoy, and be in the moment. So I said, why are you more inclined to have to rest for relaxation, but you're not willing to rest for when you have to work? And then she's like, well, I guess you're right. And I said, it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just, I think that you have to realize that it's more important to rest for working. And so with the medication, it kind of forced her to rest, but only because she couldn't do anything. She was feeling nauseous. She was going through that hangover. And it's like, okay, like, we need to build spoons. We need to preserve spoons, because you have to realize and prioritize of what's important for you, especially if we have something big. Like, it was during Kia's flare up, and we had like 6 weddings to go to in a couple of months. So it's like, it's accommodating and kind of getting away from your new sense of normalcy and adapting or adopting a new one. And so it's like, okay, yeah, we're not going to do anything for most of the week, so that she has energy, so that we can enjoy these moments. So we're celebrating other people and their love. And it was honestly tough, because the methotrexate, we hated it. I can say we, because I hated what it would do to her and how it would affect her. And it's a cancer drug, and it's, that it provides some good, but for the longevity, it's not great. It really, no one should be having to take these things for an extended period of time. But then we found out that the methotrexate actually wasn't starting to help, and it was getting worse, and just different side effects. Bonnie had talked about the hair, and it kind of brought me back to, like Kia, she lost a lot of hair. And I realized, like, on a weekly basis, like, our tub from our shower, like, the drains were clogged all the time. So it was having to unclog them in a way so that she wouldn't see it, so that it's maintaining that sense of normalcy, that it doesn't like raise a red flag, and she doesn't get worried, oh my God, the drain's always plugged because I'm losing hair. And it's like, if she doesn't see it, she doesn't realize it, right? So it's stuff like that. But the medication, she got off of methotrexate, and now she's on hydroxychloroquine. And then through all the COVID stuff throughout the world, everybody's like, hydroxychloroquine, there's a shortage, we need to hoard it all. And she was worried because she had to renew her prescription, and they were like, oh, we have to give you less because we have to kind of restrict it or monitor it on a closer basis. So rather than getting 3 months worth, we're only going to give you a month worth, and come back in that time. And it's like, well, but they realize that, okay, yes, other people need these things, but I need this every day, whereas they need it to get through whatever they're going through momentarily with coronavirus and stuff. And not saying that one is more important than the other. It's the lesser of two evils, right? And it was tough. And now, so she's on hydroxychloroquine with sulfasalazine. And it's just, we know throughout the rest of our life, it's going to be not a battle, but it's going to be a challenge of always upping a dosage or reducing a dosage, adding more medication, taking away more medication. And you know what? It's just, again, it's adopting a new sense of normalcy, but not allowing it to create negative emotions or negative change in your life, and still trying to be as positive, and embrace it. You can't have the good without the bad. And you know what? You're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days. That's just life, and take it as is, and just enjoy it as much as we can.
Yeah, so I'm much the same with all the methotrexate stories. Like, it's a great drug. I did a fair amount of research into what she was on, just so I knew what to expect. And it's grim. Side effects are obviously cancer drug used in chemotherapy to kill cancer cells, or immunosuppressant. Obviously, with all the COVID stuff going about in this country, it's been terrible. And I can imagine, I know for the fact in the US, it's been even worse, but the UK has been really badly affected by COVID, to the point where there was an innate fear of going outside because Chloe's on methotrexate, so it's an immunosuppressant. If she gets COVID, it's probably a hospital visit at the very least. Luckily, we haven't. We've been very careful, and we've built up the ability to go out. We went out last night for her 21st with her dad. We went to a pub, like a gastro pub sort of thing, for a meal, and had a few drinks. And it was lovely. We felt safe. It was really nice. So things are getting better, but initially there was a huge amount of anxiety there, which people, I suppose, in the current climate, is something to understand as well, because it can affect going back to work, it can affect going back to university, it can affect education in that sense, because they're vulnerable. And then she's also on adalimumab, which is a biologic, as Paulina's partner was describing, and she's had absolutely no problems with that, and she's only had good things from adalimumab, to the point where she has literally told her doctor, is there any way for me to stop methotrexate and just up the dose of adalimumab, because it works so well. Because also methotrexate stops her from doing things that she wants to do, donating bloods, because you have to stop taking it for 6 months to donate bloods. You can't have it, or you can have it during pregnancy, but it's not recommended. Which is another thing, like when hopefully we plan to have kids, it's something that you have to plan for, because she can't be on the medications that she's on while she's pregnant, because of the effects of pregnancy, the hormones, and that interacting with the drug, it can cause real problems. So I think the benefits outweigh the negatives, but there's a lot of negatives to consider. So we've had a few, not disagreements, but like I've had to push her to take it, because I'm very much stand by the science. I do engineering, I stand by the science. If there is science there that it works, you should listen to it, because natural remedies they definitely have a place, but they will never fully replace medical treatments for things. I definitely think they can help, things like aromatherapy, things like good diets, trying to think what else, yoga, meditation, stuff like that, wellness techniques can help. But I think nothing will beat medical things alongside that. And I think the best way that medication works is in conjunction with wellness treatments. So that's my experience of medication. We have we have our disagreements. I have to force her to take it sometimes because she doesn't want to take it because it's a horrible drug. But I'm like, come on, you just get it over with. You'll get it through it, and you'll feel so much better in a couple of days because you've taken it, rather than risking a flare up every time you don't take it. So it's definitely, yeah, methotrexate and other medications. Benefits always will outweigh the negatives, and I think whilst it's horrible that they're taking it, that they have to take it, it's good for their quality of life, and I've seen a definite improvement since Chloe's got back on her medication and back on track with it. I've seen an improvement in her ability to concentrate. Her work has benefited. She obviously came out with a really top degree, which she really thoroughly deserved, even through the hard times where she wasn't taking medication. She was pushing through her uni work. And I think it will do a hell of a lot of good if she was just consistent. And I'm slightly worried because I'm not living with her next year because I've got to finish my degree. And she's doing her master's in London, which is about a 3-hour train ride away. So we're not going to be living apart. So I'm not going to be there to support her in the same way as I was this year. So it's going to be difficult, but she just needs to maintain consistency. And I think she knows that. She knows that I will be there. Like, come on, just take it. Yeah. So fingers crossed, but it's been a positive experience, I think, mostly. And whilst it's horrible, it's just one of those things that you learn, and yeah.
Okay, so actually I don't have very much insight on the medication that Joe was taking because she didn't really tell me much about it. So I don't know like the ingredients, like the substances, as you guys have mentioned. I just know that a year ago she started to take this injection this shot that you all guys mentioned, and she just told me that it's like a stronger medication that she had before, and I didn't know what she had before, but she told me that this is something that is applied to patients who have cancer. And I panicked because obviously it seems like something that's like cancer is like one of the worst diseases that just people are afraid of, and just hearing that she has to take the same medication, it's kind of a tough thing to hear. But then she told me like even though she's taking the shot once a week, and yeah, it's painful, and yeah, I heard about the side effects, but she told me that overall after some couple of days after, she's going to feel a lot better and to be able to do more things, which has proven to be true. So yeah, I'm just encouraging her to keep up with her medication. And yeah, especially because before she was diagnosed with this disease back in Romania, I think she was taking I don't know if I'm translating this right, but I'm trying homeopathic medication. And all right, so it's right. And I don't think that did anything at all. So I'm just glad that even though she's taking strong drugs with some downsides, the outcome for now is very good. So yeah.
I think for us, we pushed Allie more, and I wouldn't say pushed. We kind of encouraged her to go on the medicine more. She was diagnosed at 15, and she didn't have to take any crazy drugs, as I call them, or nasty drugs, till she was 20, right, Allie? I think you were 20. And the reason that we really pushed it, and I had to, I was visiting around Christmas time from Saudi, and she had a flare-up. We were in Pennsylvania with her brother. We were all there, and she had a flare-up, a really bad flare-up. I was supposed to fly back to Saudi. She was flying back to university in Tampa, and she couldn't. So she was in a wheelchair, and I flew back with her. And again, she hated her rheumatologist, which in Tampa, I think it's important to like your doctor. Well, she had her knee drained, I think it was 7 times in 6 weeks. And the doctor was like, I can't do this anymore. You have got to do something. So with a lot of arguing, sorry, Allie, and crying and tears, and and encouragement, she went on the methotrexate, which was something, I mean, yeah, I, like all of you have done. I have read about it. It's a terrible drug. It's the nasty drug, I call it. And then it was doing really well. It was helping her knee, and she was getting on with life as best she can. And they took her off of it last November, and she was off of it for a little bit. And we were like, you know, celebrating, this is fabulous. And then again, that doesn't work for very long. It didn't work for Allie. She went back on the methotrexate, and then she started the biologics, and she had to go on the Enbrel. And we didn't want that. But I think with that wonderful cocktail that she's taking, it's helping her. So like you all said, you don't want to see somebody that you love take the nasty drugs, but that you encourage them along with exercising. We've always told Allie, you have to move or you won't move. So we were so excited that she found an outlet again. Like I said, she was a swimmer and she was always active. And then for like 5 years, she was, I think, depressed that she couldn't do any of this. So then she started moving again. And once she started moving, she's encouraging others. And I love the group that she's with. So with all the nasty stuff that comes with it, I think there's a lot of positive out there to listen to your body and listen to your friends. So, yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Mom. So we're coming into the final 2 questions from Paulina and I want to thank you guys so far for doing all this. I really love everything you're saying. So for my final question, how do I word this? What could be support you as our supporters? And do you have any questions for us on how we can help you? So for instance, like I would ask my boyfriend Travis, like, how can I help you? Or Mom, like, how can I help you support me? What do you need to know?
All right.
So there was a little bug there. The question was?
Yes. So it's okay.
Yeah, my audio is pretty bad. Paulina, can you reiterate it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so the last question was sort of how can we best support you as our supporters, you being our supporters from Arthritis Warriors. And then in addition to this, if you have any questions for us about us supporting you better or in general about anything to do with arthritis, and me and Ali will sort of try to answer them from our warrior community point of view. So yeah, how can we support you better, and if you have any questions?
All right. So I do strongly believe that communication is the key here, because we're not in your head. So, and we don't have that condition either. So we don't know exactly, we will never fully grasp what you guys are feeling. So I think we need to know exactly what's going on in your head, because we cannot read in between the lines. I mean, we can sort of realize that something's going on, but we cannot just magically deduce that from your heads. The thing that happens sometimes, and I'm giving an example with Paulina, is that she would feel frustrated about something related with arthritis. Let's take an example. Earlier on, today, she was feeling frustrated about her brain fogs. Lots of brain fogs. She forgets a lot of things. Recently, it's been a bit more prominent, I think, because she's been also under a lot of stress with her yoga training and things like that, and it does not help. Okay, so, but I'm not supposed to know what's in her head, and I don't know the amount of things she has accumulated in her head. But all of a sudden, she takes a small thing, a communication with somebody, an exterior, somebody, like a communication, something she did not like, an answer from somebody else, and all of a sudden she released that frustrations. And then all of a sudden it's like, getting kind of short-tempered and a bit frustrated, and like, what's going on? What happened? And then from that conversation, we're just like, yeah, I just tend to forget, brain fog, and this prednisone, it's just, I'm sweating, I'm stinky, I hate it. I'm like, okay, then tell it to me. You have to tell it to me. I cannot just, I mean, I know it's bad, but I don't know if that person annoyed you, or it's just like the thing that just made you exploded. So just communicate, tell me about it, tell me what's in your head. We need to talk about it. And sometimes more than, I mean, we need to talk about our feelings and what's inside our head, and not just her head, but inside my head too, because we tend to be there to help. But I do believe that we shouldn't forget ourselves either, because we also have feelings, we also have emotion, we also have needs, and we have to talk about that to try to find a right compromises, right? Because sometimes it's just like, yes, we're there for you, and then we tend to accumulate these things in our head and then not say things because, oh, she's experiencing that, I'm just going to shut up on my own feelings. And then all of a sudden we are feeling frustrated, and then she's feeling frustrated, and then both of us together, and that creates huge fights. I mean, not fights, but like little bursts that wouldn't have been there if we would have communicated a bit earlier on about what we were feeling. So communication, I think, is the key, and really telling exactly what's going on with our feelings, with our emotions. I don't know about questions. I mean, I ask Paulina a lot of questions sometimes when I have about how she's feeling, what she's feeling, but what do you guys exactly feel? How do you feel when you have to share those feelings with us? Because sometimes this is we're kind of in an unconventional relationship, because it's more than a relationship. We have to be there for each other a lot of times, more than normal couples, especially in the beginning. It's just that it's a lot of giving and sharing, and some things that not a lot of people in a normal situation would do, in like a complete healthy situation would do. So how do you feel when you share those intimate feelings that maybe if you had been in another relation, I mean, if you hadn't had this disease or this condition and you'd be with somebody in a normal relationship, would you have shared the same emotion? And how do you feel about sharing those feelings that sometimes are a bit maybe more than you want to share, but you need to share in order to avoid specific situation like frustrations or problems and things like that caused by the condition?
So I guess I'll go first, Ali. This is a really good question, and I feel, sort of answering it from my own perspective, I always grew up in a sort of environment where feelings are not really shared that much, and coming to the point of realization that, yeah, I do need to share my emotions and my feelings, otherwise, like you said, it can create these misunderstandings, or like you just don't know where the frustration is truly coming from because you just didn't communicate well enough. So I feel that for me in the beginning, and in general still, sharing my feelings, it sort of makes me feel a little bit like I don't want to get pity. I don't want to get that, like, yeah, empathy, okay, but not that pity about me feeling frustrated about something, I don't know, sweating or whatever. But at the same time, there's that other part of me which realizes that, yeah, this is important, because if we don't release these feelings and we don't express ourselves, it will just build up, and then, like you said, there'll just be like an explosion. So yeah, I think I sort of answered the question. It sort of feels uncomfortable and not great to share it, because it sort of makes you feel like you're asking for that pity and being like, oh, I'm sort of the victim here, which is not what we want to feel, or at least not I do. But yeah, I do also realize the importance of it. Ali?
For me, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm having bad audio. For me, I didn't like to share anything, I guess, with my mom. I share everything with her. But when it came to my boyfriend or my best friend, I didn't like to share things with them because I think they would get annoyed that it was all I talked about. At one point, my friend was like, this is really all you talk about and all you do is complain. So ever since then, I just kind of stopped sharing everything. And that's why I made my Instagram account, because I was like, I don't want to annoy them. So sometimes we may feel like we're annoying you by sharing what we're going through. That's my answer.
You were never annoying me, although you were annoying me. But but as as the mom, that's what you do, right? You can tell your mom, well, Allie does everything. And so, as you were saying, communication is important. When her friends would say, oh, that's all you talk about, or if Travis was getting annoyed because that's all she talked about, because unfortunately that was her life, you feel bad and you say, but you've got to keep talking about it. That's the way I looked at it. Keep talking about it. Maybe not all the time, But if you keep explaining how you feel little by little by little, not being so grumpy, or as you said, going off, and I don't understand where you're coming from because I don't feel that. But again, I think communication, and keep little by little. And if those friends go away, then they're not your friends. And so then you need to find friends, like you all have created this wonderful your Spoonie site. So yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. Just keep talking about it. Talk to your parents, talk to your mom, drive her crazy, and then talk to the boyfriend. And I think everybody will eventually get there. And you have to be there. We all have to be there for you guys. So again, communication, it's the key word.
I mean, like everybody else has said thus far, communication. But I think it's as well as not just hiding it, not just hiding what it is that you're experiencing throughout your body. Show it, embrace it, because that's who you are. You can't hide, you can't run from it, right? So you might as well just embrace it. You might as well take it. I have no problem. Like, I know a lot of frustration comes from people thinking, well, if I rest, well, then people are going to devalue me because my value is only on what I can or can't do. I have to be working because then I'm valuable. Well, no, you're valuable when you're working efficiently and you're optimal. And so in order to do that, you have to rest. So I need you to tell me when you've had your breaking point so that I can step in, so that I can take over, that I can help you while you're resting. And I think that in itself just goes through with anything, any aspect in life. If it's a chronic illness, if it's relationship, if it's anything, you just have to maintain a level of communication. But this is really, truly deep in that level. And you have to, sometimes you can't articulate what it is that you're feeling or frustrated. But if you just listen and just those trigger words, and you pick up on those things and you start to see a pattern, and then you're like, okay, there's a pattern of events that you're constantly doing throughout your weeks. Let's try to change that so that it's a little bit different, so you're not feeling whatever negative feelings that you're going through. But I guess my question for you guys is, what is it that you guys expect from us on a personal level? I know Ali, I guess I could ask Ali, what do you expect from your boyfriend when you guys are trying to be a couple? What is it that you want from him, and how is it that you want him to share those times that maybe he needs a little bit more affection, or he may need a little bit more attention, but you're not necessarily in a position that you can provide that? And I guess Paulina can speak to that too, but just, yeah, how can we help you guys maintain that expected level of a relationship and not get it into a caregiver role and a caretaker or something like that? But how can we help maintain this level of relationship, I guess? Sorry.
No, yeah, this is such a good question. Oh my gosh, if I could like that question a million times. So I'm going to come back right at you guys with communication, how you're saying we need to communicate with you. So for instance, like my boyfriend's not very good at communication. So, so I think like when he wants to, like be cuddle or be intimate, sorry mom, but like just have that relationship, and I'm just so tired and exhausted, and he sometimes gets upset, like say he wants to do something and I can't, like, or if he wants to go rollerblading, for example. We won't talk about the intimacy, but like say he wants to go rollerblading and I'm just like, I can't, and that upsets him. I want him to tell me that it upsets him. Like I want him to be like, like I really wanted to go rollerblading, and I'm a little bit upset, and let's talk it out. And then I'll be like, yeah, but this is how I feel. And then he'll be like, I understand. So really communication goes both ways. Like I want to know that we upset you, and that's okay. And we can talk it out, and, that was my answer. But it's a very good question. I could go on all day about this.
No, I 100% second Ali. Like that is so important from both sides. And just to not spend time repeating the same thing that you basically just said, because it really is spot on. From also another perspective of like you guys giving us help with the little things throughout the day, to not go into that caregiver role, maybe rather than just like doing these things, for me it would be it's always great to hear a question. So like, can I help you doing this? Or can I help you open the door? Can I help you open this water bottle? Rather than doing it first before asking, because for me, it would just sort of make me feel like you're taking that away from me. Whereas if you ask that question first, it gives me that option to accept the help or be like, no, actually, I'm going to use my spoonies and open the bottle myself. So it's like making that decision for myself. But once again, it also comes back to the communication to, it's great to see that anticipation and that help from our supporters, because it really is super helpful. But to not go into 100% like that caregiver role is to ask questions beforehand. Like, can I help? Can I do this? Maybe do you need this? We can, yeah.
Cool. I think what's been said is pretty much everything that needs to be said. Communication. You guys know your limits better than we do. So the most important thing is to, when you feel you're reaching your limit, to let someone, be it us, be it anyone, know, so that basically we can best support you and best cater to what you need to do. So to speak, you know, if you're low on spoonies, we need to know, because otherwise we're not mind readers, as with anyone. Nobody's a mind reader. So I think the most important thing is to let us know what we can do. And my question would be, if someone, I know Paulina touched on this, but do you perceive, so say someone did something without asking, so like just a gesture, like, I don't know, made a cup of tea or a coffee or made dinner for you spontaneously without you asking, do you see that as an offensive thing, or do you see it as a gesture?
Okay, then should I? Sorry.
No, you go, you go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, awesome. So for these little gestures, like these sort of like cooking dinner or making tea, I wouldn't say that it's offensive, because these would be more, yeah, it's just like those cute little gestures that everyone makes towards each other. The ones that maybe I was mentioning more, maybe I just didn't explain it well enough, it's just more about those times where it's like those helpful gestures that usually would be very helpful for us when we're in a flare, for example, like opening up the water bottle or helping to carry boxes, like you were mentioning about Chloe. Like, it's to ask these questions first so that it's not offensive but more helpful. And I mean, this is all personal as well. This is just how my character sort of is as well. But yeah, these little gestures, I wouldn't say that they're counted as offensive at all. Yeah. Addie.
You can make me dinner, tea anytime. I'm all for it. Not offensive. Always make me dinner. Always make me tea. Travis is making me a snack right now. So yes, all for it. That's beautiful.
All right. So I totally understand that you said that, you know, you maybe are afraid of like complaining too much, or you know, just being seen like somebody that needs to be taken care of, and I totally agree with that. But you just have to understand that like we can't put ourselves in your shoes, and sometimes you just like say, for Jo, for example, she says like she can't do one thing because she's in pain, and I totally understand. When she proposes another activity, like for example, that to me just sounds similar, like you, for me it's like the same amount of effort, but she says she can do that thing, and so I can't really understand what's possible and what cannot, because you're just telling me that you're in pain, but not exactly like how is that pain, like where or how much, like, you know, just like describe it to me so maybe I can help you, like maybe I cannot bother you for a couple of hours and you can feel better. Yeah, I think that would be very nice and helpful, but I totally get your point that you don't want to be annoying, and I don't like, I feel like if your Ali, if your friend said that, like maybe you complained every time, but I don't think like this is a real problem, like you complain every time because this is happening to you every single day, so you know your friend should be understanding. So I don't think it's offensive to or annoying to complain. Yeah.
And do you have any questions for us at all? I mean, no pressure. You don't have to. Just open floor in case you do.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Like everything was really based on communication now, like that's the answer. So yeah, no question for this part.
Awesome.
And I think my mom already went, so we can go to the last question.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Sorry, yeah. Whatever happened there in my brain again. Right, so to sort of sum it all up, for anyone that's going to be listening to this afterwards, and to everyone listening now that's on the floor at the panel at the moment, what tip would you have to a supporter, so someone like you that's just come in contact with an arthritis warrior? What would you say to them? Like, is there any tip that you would give them, or any words at all? And you're on the spot again.
So, well, first thing, brace yourself, because it's a long journey and you have to understand and to be open to a lot of new things that you have never experienced before. But if you to communicate, for example, the person that has, or that person you're with that has that condition, and you, if you communicate well, if you tell each other what you feel, I think it's something that will be beautiful at the end, because it's some kind of, it's really, it brings people together even more. It's more intimate than a conventional relationship or a conventional friendship, or because you actually learn to try to understand, to try to have the same feeling as the other one has when she's thinking about you, because it's like you're trying to put yourself into that person's shoes so hard that you actually forget sometimes about yourself, just so that you can help the other one overcome that difficult moments, or those difficult moments, or even like go on a daily basis. And what I think it's also nice is that that other person is also seeing it. So she sees that you're making an effort, she sees that you're trying your best, she sees it, even if sometimes it doesn't look like it, because frustration and here and that, it's normal, it happens. But I think you see it, and you, I don't know, I do believe that it brings people together. And my tips would be, talk, be there for each other, do not pity one another. It doesn't matter who has what, do not pity one another. Do not prevent the other from moving, like from doing whatever she wants. She knows better what her body is made of and how many spoons she has left in her energy levels. So I do believe that my only mistake sometimes is, or in the beginning at least, I try to be a bit over protective, just like a chicken with her little chicks, you know, like just too much. I would be like more, hey, no, don't go to dance 5 times a week. That's too much. You're going to be in pain. Oh, now you have an inflammation in the leg. No, we won't go for a walk. And then, of course, it's going to build frustration on the other side, because she wants to do her things. But she understands that it comes from a good intention, and that I also need to learn to let her do her stuff by herself and tell me when she cannot or when she can do it. So really, tips, communication, don't pity each other, try to understand, be calm. If you're mad towards each other, just take a little break, just go breathe, and then go sit down together again and explain what happened. Try to go through your feelings calmly, because it never helps anybody, especially when you have this temper, to talk when you're mad. So it's just like a trial and error, really. So it's just about trying and being together for each other.
Similar to what you just spoke to, and I think it's coming in with minimizing expectations, and that each person and their diagnosis or their disease is going to be very different. So whatever experiences that you may be pulling from an outside source, family, Google, what have you, it is going to be very different. So sure, you can have a general understanding, but don't have general expectations that may be similar to someone else. just come in, try to be as open-minded and understanding and observant. I think really observing and picking up patterns, like behavioral patterns of, okay, so Mondays are a really tough day because it's the start of the week and it was a very busy weekend. So Mondays are usually going to be a little bit more stressful. So allowing that space to have their independence and kind of just be their own person is very important. I think from the perspective of a relationship and being a partner in the relationship, I think it's be prepared to be very selfless. I know that going into our relationship, I was selfish. We were just, again, very young. We both were still trying to figure out what it is that we wanted to do. So we were trying to find balance, but I truly don't believe that there is such a thing of balance. There's always like a tension. So there's always going to be a push and a pull. And it's just understanding that some days there's going to be more pulling and pushing than the other way. So, and it works synergistically, and you have to be okay with that. And just, just try to minimize expectations. Because really you don't, on a day-to-day basis, you don't know what you're going to expect. I guess the only thing that you can is that you're always going to be there, and they're always going to be there given circumstance. But it's just embrace it, actually. And because like Paulina and your partner had said, that it really does lead to something beautiful. There's a lot of fruit to be yielded from such a journey. And I know that this, throughout Kia's diagnosis and kind of her chronic illness journey, it's actually put her in a position to be better off. She's realized that there are certain things that she may have wanted to do in her life. Now she's experienced it in a trial basis, and she's like, yeah, no, I don't want to work for the government. I don't want to do that. There's way too much stress there. And she really enjoys the community that she interacts with on a day-to-day basis, and that she gets to be a part of and grow with. And I think that anybody needs to find that. And I think, kind of going back to any of the first questions, it was hard to find a community of people, of supporters, because that's not always there. And it was actually when Kia had asked me to be a part of this, and talking with Paulina, I was like, this is great. There actually needs to be more of this on different levels and through different experiences, because I don't know anybody who's being a supportive partner of someone with a chronic illness. So I don't know who to go to. I don't know what experiences to draw from, and trying to get other people that aren't in our immediate lives to understand is very hard. So it's just managing expectations and trying to limit those, and just take every day by day, and just do what you can when you can, and just be dynamic, I guess, too.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Harry, Andrea, I don't know who wants to go next.
There we go. Sorry, my mute button decided it didn't want to work there. I think, yeah, what's been covered. Just know that it's never going to be like another relationship, in the sense that me and Chloe we don't argue, because I think we have a mutual understanding of it's very what's the word I'm looking for? Baseline, like a very typical things that will like we'll be tired, or we'll be hungry, or we've been in the sun too long, and we just get snippy, and we just establish that person is grumpy, and we don't go any further. It doesn't progress into an argument, because we both know it's just like we're just both a bit arsey, and that's just what happens. Another thing I'd mention is expectations for people, especially people in relationships, because that's my experience, but I suppose it works for family and stuff too, with family events, is don't expect too much of them with the energy that they have. So don't expect to have a whole weekend of seeing different friends and family and not expect them to be absolutely shattered, basically. I think that's important as a supporter, is like you can't expect too much of them, and intimately as well. You know what I mean? You can't expect things to be like a conventional relationship. You can't expect maybe they're aching so much they can't give as much affection. Maybe they're so tired that they're just not feeling, you know, things like sex or whatever. That's another thing I think that I found out that was very strange. I was like, you know what I mean? Like, it's, you can't expect too much. I've been in other relationships where it's not been the case, and going into a relationship where you just can't expect too much was a learning curve for me, but I've got over that learning curve now, and that's the main thing I'd say. Don't expect too much, and be prepared to sacrifice things. And when you two get mad at each other, or mother, daughter, husband, wife, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, don't let it escalate into a thing. Just take a minute, as Pauline Sparta said, take a minute, know that it's really not that big of a deal. You know, you've just been too long in the sun, or you're hungry, or you're tired. That's usually what the case is in my experience anyway. So that's all I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say the most important thing, like as I said in the last question, is to learn to communicate. And I think just to learn to listen and encourage them that it's okay to share their problems with you, which I think it's really important. And also try to ask them, like, if you feel that you haven't heard in a while, like ask them if they are okay, but like not too much. So don't ask that person just too much. So even if they are feeling okay, they don't have any problem at the moment, if you ask too much, I feel like they can be reminded that there's a problem there. So just try to find that balance, and with communication, you know, and try to establish, you know, if it's a good day to do some things or if it's not. And also try to give them space, like don't just try and rush to help them, like I can bring you this, I can do that to you and stuff. Just if they need just space, give it to them. Yeah, that would be my advice.
What you all said is yeah, same thing I would say. And I would just say that it's not the end of the world. When we got Allie's diagnosis, that's the first thing. You're like, oh my gosh, you know, but it's not the end of the world. With family and friends and with communication and support, you know, you'll get to where you have to be. I will have to say, you can always give stuff to Allie. You can always take it to her. She loves it. She loves to be doted on. So, but if a family member or your loved one or your partner doesn't like that, listen to them. And I also say, look at their body language. But again, I've been with Allie all her life, so I can look at her and I know what's going to happen or what's going to come next. So if there's not that communication there, if you can't say it in words, just look at how they're acting, or if they need to go sit in a room and read the book or cry or sit with the cat or whatever. Just give them their space, like you all have been saying. Communication, space, and it's not the end of the world.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's so amazing to hear from you guys. And to sum it all up, it's just been so amazing to hear your thoughts, hear your experiences, because yeah, we are the ones living with it, but honestly, you guys also sort of are. No matter what relationship you have to your arthritis warrior, you're still there with them. So thank you so much for participating. And to anyone listening to this afterwards, and to all of you listening now as well, I want to say that, like one of you, like Alexandra, you mentioned how there should be more of this happening, to have this support for the supporters out there. And the way that we can achieve that is by these little things that we do, by sharing this stuff on social media or talking to your friends about it. And I hope that after we release this on social media for everyone to listen to, we can all sort of come together and share this out. Even if you don't have 10,000 followers, even if you just have 10, someone in your friends group, maybe they didn't tell you, maybe they have an arthritis warrior that they're dealing with as well. So the way that we can support our community, but also the supporters community, is to sort of do our part and just share these things out there, which is something that we try to do as warriors ourselves every day, is to raise that awareness, to talk about our struggles, to talk about the things that sort of we are going through, to help each other. And then now we can expand it out even more, even further, by sharing this out to you guys, to all of the supporters out there, which we are so incredibly grateful to have as well in our lives. So yeah, that's like the last few words from me. I'm super grateful, and I appreciate all of your time that you took to talk to us and share all of your thoughts. It's going to make such a huge impact. Even if it just impacts one person, I guarantee you that a lot of people are going to be extremely grateful to hear this, even for the warriors to hear your thoughts. Because even though we mentioned communication as the key part, sometimes that is like one of the hardest things to do. So to have you guys come on here and communicate with us, it opens up our eyes as well to how you guys are feeling, what you are going through as well. So yeah, thank you so much once again. And Ali or anyone else, do you have any last things that you want to say at all?
I second everything Paulina said. I want to thank all of you guys for spending the last 2 hours with us. I know it was a long time, but seriously, this was so important. And there is nothing online like this that I could have given to my boyfriend, to my friend, that they could have listened to. So thank you so much for taking the time to really talk about this, because you have no idea how important this is for somebody to have as an audio clip, as a video clip to send to their friends and family. So I really, really want to thank you guys so much for spending your last 2 hours with us. Thank you so much.
I'd also like to say thank you to you two for facilitating this. It's been very eye-opening, from different walks of life, different environments and stuff. And just, I don't feel alone, which is great. And everybody's, you think that your story is so different, or your journey is so different, and that no one else is going to be able to relate to you. So there's no point in trying. But that's so far from true. And it actually, like, even just this, and it's just giving me a small glimpse to the community that you guys have, and the Spoonie community, and it's actually amazing. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be a part of this, and grateful for Kia to be a part of such a strong community of warriors and supporters. And it's not presented in society in that, people who are struggling with these things, they're not warriors, they're sick people. No, they're strong. They're going through something that most people can't do on a day-to-day basis, plus trying to live a very normal life, what is normal, right? So again, thank you for facilitating this and giving us a platform to kind of speak our experiences. Very grateful for that, and grateful to be able to experience your guys' journey along with you, and to be even just a part of your guys' journey. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, just a quick one as well. Just thank you for the opportunity, and for everything that you guys have done for Chloe, because I know that she felt very alone before she reached out to various things and met various people with similar conditions to her. So it's been absolutely fantastic to see people like her that get together to make her feel like she's not alone, and that you guys aren't alone, because you're not, and you never will be. So I just want to thank you for creating such a good community for people like yourselves to spread awareness and stuff. It's absolutely fantastic, and I'll always support you all the way, 100%. So keep it going, guys.
I also wanted to thank you for having done this, because as Alexander said earlier on, I told Paulina like a couple of minutes ago, I just realized I was in a community too. I'm a partner of an Arthritis warrior. As this is also a community. I mean, you don't really think about it like that, because you think you're alone. As Alexander said, you think that you're going through this alone and there's no point in trying to share what you think. But now I just compared experiences with Henry and Alexander, and it's pretty similar in some sense. So actually we're going through the same, or not the same, but similar paths in our relationship with an arthritis warrior. That kind of helps to put things in perspective and to actually explain what's happening also in our lives and how things are happening. And I want to thank you for yourself also. You have done that, and you have created this community that is not only helping you, but is helping you. So by helping us, you're helping yourself too, because it's just a mutual understanding. And it's crazy because you did this to help other arthritis warrior, but you also help yourself. And by helping yourself, you become more happy. So you help us also, because we see you happier than you were before this. And it's just crazy.
Thank you for sharing that. And he is the guy that didn't want to even come on camera in the beginning when I told him about this. So this is a lot for him to share this. Anyone else that would like to share any last thoughts?
I just want to say thank you for inviting me. Sorry, I'm the old mom in the group, but thank you so much. I've enjoyed it, and I love hearing all your stories. And like you all said, you're different, but you're all the same. And thanks for supporting Allie, because when I can't help her or Travis, then she goes to her spoonies, and it makes my life a lot easier. Let me tell you that. So thank you all. Thank you.
I want to say thank you for like sharing different perspectives, because I only heard one perspective of this, and to hear different stories, I kind of like acknowledge more what my friend is going through. Yeah, so, and how other people are supporting over here. So yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you so much, guys. And I want to open this up, but of course, you sort of guys mentioned, yeah, this is a community that you are a part of. And you have my details, you have Ali's details, you have all of our Instagram details. And don't ever feel like you can't approach us to talk about anything. And for anyone listening to this, and to all of you guys, I pretty much see that you guys can talk to each other as well. Like you can, I don't know, boyfriend to boyfriend, mother to friend, mother to boyfriend, just reach out to each other, because for us, it's been super helpful, us as warriors, to have each other to just like be like, oh, I can't do my hair today. Oh yeah, I can't do my hair today either. And it's like, okay, okay, perfect. I'm not the only one. And it does really, truly help. So don't be afraid to just speak out and talk to each other too, talk to us. And yeah, it's been such an incredible thing to be able to host this with Ali and talk to you guys and do this. Yeah, so last thoughts, thank you so much. And yeah, that's about it. We've come to an end of a beautiful 2 hours journey. Yeah, thank you so much, guys, from the bottom of my heart, honestly, about everything that you shared.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.